Hi, and welcome to the Raw, Real, and Rebelicious podcast. My name is Michelle Rebel Coops, and as a personal branding coach, I guide and mentor high achieving professionals and entrepreneurs to liberate themselves from the invisible shackles that keep them from expressing themselves authentically and unapologetically in work, life, and even love. I believe we can all become our own powerhouse and become true leaders of our lives. So let's explore how you can become who you're meant to be. A free, radiant, joyful, and juicy creature of love who takes charge like a true leader does.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this new podcast episode. So today I have a very special guest for you. I'm talking to Divera. She is definitely a true magician when it comes to aligning yourself, the #1 alignment coach of the Netherlands. And she has been inspiring people for over 10 years to really live in alignment with who you truly are. And, I know her as someone who has this amazing, bubbly personality, a true cheerleader. And, as I've gotten to know her, I can see that her purpose is to really inspire people to live from flow and intuition, and in your work, in your daily life, and everything that you do, basically. Does that kind of summarize what you do, Divera?
Yes.
I hope that I'm speaking you well.
Yeah, totally. No, that's perfect.
Awesome. It is great to have you here. Thank you so
Thank
much
you for having me.
So let's just feel into what today wants to bring us. When I met you, I remember one thing, and that is that your energy just, I just could feel it. I mean, we met online, basically. We've only met online so far, actually. But it's like I can feel your vibe, your frequency, your energy. It is something that people tell me about me as well, that bubbliness. And when I learned that you're an expert in alignment and living in alignment, I was like, this has to be the reason. It must be because you're so aligned with yourself that there's, you radiate that. But when I think of alignment, it can sometimes feel a little bit like vague, like it's a little bit of an abstract thing.
Yeah,
so could you explain to all of us, what does it really mean to be aligned?
Yeah. Well, that's an excellent question. And alignment and getting in alignment is such a let's say a fad or a buzzword. And if you really want to grasp the concept, it's really interesting just to talk a little bit about it. For me, let's start. Alignment for me is feeling like life effortlessly lifts you up and brings you to whatever place it wants you to go. And for me, it's like a total opposite of how I have lived my life, like most of my life. So alignment is everything you say, think, do, or believe to have that matched up with who you truly are. And it's so funny. You started out describing my energy, for example. And that is something that when I wasn't in alignment, I could feel the energy wanted to move and to express itself. But I was always taught like, be quiet, don't take so much space, don't talk too much, don't be so loud. So that was definitely not in alignment. The energy I knew wanted to flow through me, but I just thought it wasn't appropriate to do that. So alignment is the energy that you are, the unique energy that you are, to allow that to flow through without any resistance.
And this is quite challenging, isn't it? Because we've been, like you said, we've been taught to believe that this is not okay. And that need for external validation or for other people to give us permission to be that big, or to have
Or small, it
live in
doesn't
our, or
matter.
small, it doesn't matter, no,
Yeah.
but in our own greatness, which is our own flavor.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many beliefs that just come up when you think about that, like, am I really allowed to do that? And so this isn't always that easy. That's what I'm kind of trying to say. So what is it that you learned about this? I mean, I cannot what was your biggest struggle in this journey?
So there's two things that I think are very important to understand when it comes to alignment. And that is, knowing if you're in alignment or not is not that difficult. People make this such a magical, like, ooh, that's really difficult or hard to obtain or whatever. But we as humans are wired quite simple. Avoid pain and gain pleasure. And why is that? As soon as you feel an emotion that feels pleasurable, it could be even as little as hope, but bliss and happiness and passion. That's the evidence of you being in alignment. And the funny thing is, what gives you bliss or what gives me bliss could be totally different things. And that's why being in alignment is not this one thing. So the mere proof of you feeling good is evidence that you are in alignment. It's as easy as that.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Wow. As soon as so I've studied this for a long time, and first it's just like a mental concept, because, well, the first time I ran into this, I was like, it could not be that easy, really.
Mm-hmm.
But then life taught me that, well, honey, it is.
It is that easy. So
So
what about, do people recognize when they're not feeling good, for example? Because this is about feeling good, and obviously when you're not feeling good, that's a sign that you're not in alignment. But how would that translate into emotions, sensations in your body? How can people recognize that? Because so many people are they're not attuned with their bodies.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's a matter of not being able to recognize you're out of alignment, because you can ask anyone, and you can ask, do you recognize when you don't feel good? And they will go, yeah, I recognize when I don't feel good. However, the majority of people interpret these emotions or these signals not in a way that they're intended. To give you a very clear example of my own experience, and I have so many, so I have to check which one would fit best. For example, if one of my main topics in my life, main issues, whatever, was allowing myself to have a place in this world without any shame or any guilt. So if someone would criticize me or say something about me or my work, so they would make a comment, and the comment would make me feel bad or make me feel guilty or make me feel whatever negative emotion. Just for the sake of clarity in this podcast, we just have these two big groups, positive and negative. And even that is not really true. It's like the expanding and contracting of feelings or emotions. Yeah. So someone would make a remark. I would feel guilty or whatever. But the misconception is that I feel guilty because someone said the thing. And I would take my feeling bad as evidence of, well, you see, I'm not worth it. I would take that as evidence that I was not worthy of whatever.
Yeah.
However, how our system is wired, the only signal our system gives with a contraction is pay attention. The thought you are having at this moment is not in alignment with who you really are. I'm danglishing,
No, it's
putting
okay.
a bit of Dutch words, but I get so excited about this topic. So the biggest pitfall is to um, uh, uh, how do you say that? Take conclusions out of those contracting emotions instead of seeing them what they really are. They're just a tap on the shoulder. Hold on, honey. The thing you are thinking now or you're doing now is not in alignment with who you really are. And it's
Yeah.
simple as that.
It's as simple as that. It's information.
Yes.
It's not necessarily something bad or just a
Not a
reinforcement.
conclusion.
No,
Yes.
exactly.
No, and it's even more like a signpost or like your navigation system. That I'm not judging my navigation system when she says, well, you took a wrong turn, you have to turn around to get back on your path. I'm not going to scream at my navigation system or say, oh, I'm not worthy. No, I take the clue she's giving me and I turn my car around.
Right.
So
could you elaborate, for example, on the example that you gave? So let's say that someone criticizes you and the old you would interpret this as a sign or, like reinforcing that you're not worth it or you did wrong or you made a mistake and it's a failure. And you see?
Yeah.
You see, it's just evidence again. But what kind of information, because you're saying that, this is just a sign that something is not aligned.
Yeah.
So could you give an example? What wasn't aligned for you in that moment? What needed to change?
Yeah. So it's not the remark that ignites the emotion or the feeling within us. It's our own belief system that does. So the thing that I needed to see, that I got the opportunity to see because of the remark of the other person, that's another thing about really understanding how this works. So now whenever someone mirrors me a situation which is not in alignment for me, I don't always, but I thank them in the end because it's an opportunity for me to see, so what belief system do I have that triggers something in me? Because, I mean, everybody is allowed to their own opinion and not everybody has to like me and not everybody has to like my work. So the only thing I was invited to do was to check, hey, what kind of beliefs do I have? So the belief I had when the contraction came was, I'm not worth it. I'm not worthy. I need to work harder. That's a very sneaky one. I need to give more. And that thought or that overtuiging, belief, thank you, just fell in my head, fell out of my head, needed to be looked at and reconsidered.
Right.
And for example, be reconsidered as, oh, well, thank you for your feedback. Because if it doesn't resonate with any belief that I have, someone could, 1,000 people can come up to me and say whatever, and it won't affect me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it really is about doing a check-in with yourself. You're feeling guilty, checking in with yourself. Is this person right? Or is this just a sign that there's a mismatch between the two of you, which is possible? I mean, you just have different perspectives, different beliefs, which is okay. Or is it an invitation to look at myself and maybe change the belief I have about myself? That's basically what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
For example, and it's an example.
Yeah.
This is very much about leadership, obviously. I mean, personal leadership, which is something that I talk about a lot. And it's about not being as reactive, if you ask me. Like instead of
and it's about taking responsibility for
Oh,
you and
yes,
your own life and your own
exactly.
emotions.
Yes.
And life is kind of teaching us how to react. If someone's
Mhm.
rude, you want to react to them, or
Yes,
if, but personal leadership is all about, okay, I acknowledge that what's happening within me is 100% my responsibility.
that's it.
And that, honey, is hard, because
Phew.
sometimes it's so easy to just blame whoever or whatever. Oh my goodness.
True that. This is
Yeah.
exactly the difference between being reactive or being responsive.
Mm,
When you're being responsive, that's responsibility. You're able to respond in a way that, you take responsibility for, how you respond to that specific situation,
yeah.
and you take a pause and look at the situation, what's really happening, what's happening within me, what's the belief around that. That's basically what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Just
But
be
I have
responsible.
to be honest, you paint the picture you just painted is like perfect. You know, like something
Yeah.
happens, I
Well said.
pause, I do my inner work, and then it's all done. And that's something you
Mhm.
want to strive for, really. But I've been in situations that I actually got up, got out of the room, went to the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror, and said, I don't want to do this anymore. I just don't know what I do want to do, but I don't want to react the way that I did, because I know this is an internal matter I need to somehow process. But I couldn't do that in the moment. Are you following me a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit?
yeah, definitely, definitely. So
So
you take yourself out of the situation
just to make sure that I don't do what I always did, and that is react
yeah,
to the person, because it's
right.
not about a person, it's about whatever internal work we are invited to do. But hey, if you're in the middle of an argument or whatever, that's really hard.
Exactly, because we're still human, yeah, and we all have that initial
Yeah.
um, body reaction that we just want to basically defend ourselves because, well, if our brain feels, if our monkey brain feels that there's true danger because someone's attacking us in some way,
Mhm.
it's not that easy. So where would you say is the balance here? Because if we are all the time, we take ourselves out of the situation, we go to the mirror and like take 10 breaths or whatever. Um, can that also be I mean, I talk about bypassing every now and then. We don't want to
Mhm.
bypass our own emotions. Sometimes it's okay to just be unreasonable. What's your take on that?
Well, I think we will get perfectly back to the topic that we started on, and that's alignment and doing
Mm-hmm.
that on purpose. Because a concept that I learned from Esther Hicks, who channels
Mm-hmm.
Abraham. I'm not sure if you
Mm-hmm.
know
Mm-hmm.
who they
Yes,
are, and that's
definitely.
getting out ahead of it. And that
Mm-hmm.
is, if you, I mean, if you live your life and all is well, you don't have to change anything really. But I know that your audience and my audience are people that want to live a happy life, a life that feels like it matches 100% the energy or the flavor, like you always say, that I am.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you have to have a practice to practice yourself out whatever you have been doing, and practice yourself into this alignment. And
Mm-hmm.
by, for example, having a good morning routine and journaling and meditating and setting it intentions, and all these things are under the umbrella of alignment. If you do that first, you have like a head start. You're getting out ahead of it. So I can, uh, the more that I do this, and I'm quite good at doing this, and I have a good practice. So I see trouble coming a mile away. And before, I only saw trouble when it hit me in the face. Do you know the difference? So
Right.
if I see it coming, if I see a situation or I see a trigger, it's not just all of a sudden there, because I did
Right.
the work, because I went out ahead of it. I did my alignment work. I I got really sensitive in noticing these first signals,
Mm-hmm.
and that um, um, in that way I was able to um, navigate, for example, conversations with people that I couldn't navigate before with a sense of personal leadership and calm and confidence, because I knew the true work that I have to do right now is right here, not there.
So, I'm really loving this. So let's say that, for example, we want to feel free to express ourselves and be ourselves and, really live authentically.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say that I have a business, and, what's important in a business is that you get out there, you share your message. At least that is what I tell my clients, is to really put yourself out there, express yourself in the way that you are, and stand up for your beliefs, for example. But a lot of people, they have some kind of fear or hesitance around this, because, there's always this risk of people judging you, especially when you take a stand and you really, really stand up for a certain belief.
Yes.
And if basically that belief is different from your competition, or it's different from your peers, and you really, I'm seeing this with some friends who are speaking out on certain topics, and myself included. And I'm not saying they're haters, but they're
not lovers.
They're not lovers, exactly. There's people who just don't agree, or actually unfollow or unfriend me because, it just doesn't match with who they are. And that's fine. But I'm at that point where I've gotten there. But a lot of people are afraid of really stepping out there.
Yeah.
And not letting that rejection or the comments that you get when you stand up, to not let it hit you like that. What would you recommend that they do, that fear of speaking up?
I have an amazing journaling practice that I have used a lot of times, and I'm teaching my clients this as well, because it can be really full on. The desire to get your business out there in the way that you feel you actually should, but fear is like hitting you in the face and in the gut, like all over the place. So this journaling practice is going to help you a lot, and you can repeat it. So first of all, what I would do is just write out everything you're afraid of. Just go, I'm afraid my family will reject me. I'm afraid my business will not be successful because of it. I'm afraid that I will get haters. I will be afraid that, whatever. And just go nuts. 5 minutes.
Keep on writing.
You take the time to take 5 minutes and to write about why you want to build your business. What's your big why? What's your purpose? What's your drive? What will it bring you? What will it bring the world? Why is this so important to you? And sometimes you cannot even put it into words, but just try. And then the third part of this journaling exercise is, let's say 90% of everything you're afraid of happens. You get the haters. You will lose clients. You will have to explain your sassy post to your grandmother. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
However, so 90% of what you're afraid of happens. However, everything, or 90% of what you want, it just gives me goosebumps just to think about it, will happen as well. And then the final statement will be, is it worth it? And that question, my lovely, you are the only one who can answer that. And I will never judge you if you, at the end of the day, say, you know what, it's not worth it. And then you, at least you know that. But I promise you, 100% of the because you don't have to do it with a business, you can do it with whatever. 100% of my clients who do this, they're still afraid. I mean, you cannot just magically
switch off. No.
Raise fear. But as soon as you get to the point, like, is it worth it? And you can say like a yes, Do you feel the space that's around that? Do you feel like the immediate alignment you can get into? And that's, you can actually say like, okay, life, bring it on. I am
Yes.
able to take whatever will come because I know in the end, the benefits are so much
Mm.
bigger and it's worth it.
Mm. I'm loving this.
Mm.
I'm learning a lot actually,
Oh,
and that's
cool.
because it's such a hands-on practice that you can
Mm.
actually do. Because it's like you're basically having a conversation with yourself
There you go.
about, so what is it that's stopping me, and where is it that I want to go? Something that I'm big on, and in branding, it's really very much about, so what's that dream? Where do you want to go?
Yeah.
How can you see the possibilities? And to ask yourself that question and be okay with any answer.
Yeah.
At the end, like, is it worth it? Wow.
Yeah. So I can totally imagine that practice could be perfect for your clients as well, because I mean,
Mm.
with personal branding, oh my goodness, that's you
Mm.
putting yourself out there. So
Yeah.
if fear is stopping you in whatever way, it's good. And that is something, um, and maybe that's something that people are a little bit afraid of when we talk about getting in alignment and living a happy life, because it comes with a downside as well. You have to be freaking honest and you have to look at things the way they are, honey. You cannot just
Yeah.
pretend like all is hunky dory or whatever. Like with this exercise as well, just write down your fears, because
Yeah.
only if you look at what is, you are in the position to change it.
Yes.
And that's
And
scary.
that and that's scary, because the truly being honest with yourself. Oof. So how did you learn about this?
Ooh.
I mean, I cannot imagine that you've always been super honest and naked with yourself.
Oh my goodness, no. No,
So
I think that is a really interesting spin in our conversation. No, I have not been always honest with myself. I didn't even know that I wasn't honest with myself. I was just surviving.
right.
Um, for me, and I guess for a lot of people, it will be the same. For me, it was a series of quite disrupting events in my life that kind of forced me to reevaluate what the fuck was happening. And so there were different things, but my father died. I got burned out from my job. That was, I think, the most painful and the biggest lesson. And I've had a few in my life, because I told you my issue was about being validated and earning my place in the world. And I got burned out because I couldn't um, meet the standards that I thought I was held to. So that was terrible, because my entire belief system kind of came crumbling down. So and a few more, like really, I had a relationship for 14 years, and I was the one that decided to end it. And I thought, once I decided to end it, it would be heaven for going forward. But that as well was very, it was very disturbing for me, because I thought, well, if I wasn't happy in the relationship, and if I end the relationship, then all will be well. Well, it didn't quite work. At the end, it worked out, but so
Not
life,
immediately.
no. So life handed me some very hard situations. And I got to the point that I kind of needed to reinvent myself, maybe. Who am I? What
Right.
do I want? I spent the most of my life living the life I thought I had to live because of my parents, because of getting the validation I thought I needed. Well, what a load of crap with that, a load of crap what that was. So those life events really forced me. Um, well, so that is funny, because as a person you can react different ways in these situations, but for me it forced me to go look for people, tools to help me go within and to finally figure out what I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of people might turn to, for example, going to denial, or,
Yeah.
or distract themselves.
Or going into addiction.
Addiction, exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a form of distraction indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And then not looking at themselves and what could be different. So what do you think that we need first and foremost to be able to look at ourselves that way, to be that honest?
Well, what helped me was having a lot of examples. That's one of the main reasons why I do what I do, and I get emotional just thinking about it. Just being able to not to know what to do, but to be able to, for example, online, to look out teachers or groups or people who show up and share their message and share their work. And it really helped for me to learn about these concepts like alignment and spirituality and the way your mind works and everything. So for me, that helped a lot to have like inspiration. And I didn't have that close by in my let's say my immediate circle, but I found it online, I guess.
Yeah. So you need to find your teachers.
Yeah.
Find your sources
Well,
of
they
inspiration.
find you. That is something that I you don't have to worry about it, really. So because I started this conversation with how easy and how simple it in basically is, and actually we can come around to that as well. I guess I thought I was really looking for ways to get out of the situation that I was in. And the tools and the ways that were appropriate for me at that time just came to me. I just needed to have my eyes and my ears open to see the opportunities.
Yes. And to receive them.
And to receive them. Yes.
I always find that that's a big one.
Yeah.
To be able to receive, because we're very much into always doing. We need to work and we need to give and all of that. But to actually stand still and like you said, recognize the gifts that are coming our way and receive them. So I feel that a lot of people struggle with that, to actually open up to receive. And because they struggle with that this blocks a lot of processes. So if we're not open to receive, then we might not be open to receive money, for example. If we're not open to receive, generally, we're not open to receive love. So it could have an effect on so many things that we actually really desire.
Totally.
But that we're blocking because there's some kind of wall around that. What do you feel is important to learn to be open to receive?
Well, it all comes down to exactly the same thing that we've been talking about. And that you feel, for example, if you want love, but you don't get it, you feel the contracting emotion. And then you can do two things. You can think, oh, well, see, that's evidence for me not being worthy of being loved. But educate yourself in how this works. No, this emotion means I have a belief which is blocking my alignment. And alignment, you can fill in ability to receive, ability to give without needing to get, ability to just let whatever wants to be lived through you be lived through you. So it's the same process, but you have to somehow, maybe through this podcast or because you hear that from other people, be set on the track of interesting. So if I don't get what I want, there's probably something inside of me blocking that. And that feeling of being a little bit interested, a little bit, instead of only being frustrated, that will be the opening for you to be able to do that internal research.
Just a little bit of, like that, the curiosity.
Yeah, even if it's just like a flinch, because I mean, I know if you have money trouble, you're just frustrated about not getting money. It's really hard to get like curious or interested,
Mm,
but still, that's the way to go.
right. Even if it's just a little bit. Yeah.
Mm.
And then you can open up that space
Yeah,
more.
just a hair, just a
Right.
like yeah, a tiny speck. That's enough.
Is that? That is really interesting. Yeah, just that little bit is enough. What would you do after? I mean, let's just say that I have a tiny opening. I'm like, right, there's something blocking me. I'm willing to acknowledge that. I will stop blaming other people, getting into denial. I will just a little bit acknowledge that maybe this is something within me.
Hmm.
What's next?
Yeah. Well, then we get back to the process of getting out ahead of it. So the practice of journaling, meditating, visualizing, setting
Mm,
intentions, um, because now you have this opening and now you have a little bit more of a clear view of what you actually want. And then you
mm,
can start, let's say, designing your life, designing your
mm,
thoughts, beliefs, actions, words. That is very important, the words we speak. So, and that is, it's a practice again. I mean, you can get in really good alignment shape, but you have to get your booty out every morning, just like with working out. It's it's
mm,
it's exactly like working out. It's not that if you see how this works, it's all there forevermore. No, it's something that you make a habit out of, and um, um, slowly but surely you will move everything you say, do, believe, and oh, there's one more to what you do want, because that is something that a lot of people don't realize. They're giving so much airtime and attention to all the stuff they don't want, and that
mm,
little speck is of like opening or a relief or hope, is the invitation to give more of your time, more of your energy, more of your words, more of your airtime to what you do want and where you do want to go.
mm. That's a key question, isn't it?
Hmm.
What do I want right now?
Yeah.
I have always really struggled with that, that I am allowed to actually ask myself, what do I want, instead of pleasing others, instead
Hmm.
of, first thinking about, but because um, one of the things that we are good at as coaches, you're a coach, I'm a coach, and we're good space holders. We're amazing at giving other people space for their process, and we will stay grounded and centered, and you just go through. And that's something that I'm noticing in my life, that I'm always giving other people space, like, okay, so you're going through something, and you want this, you want that, or you don't want this right now, it's not the right time, or whatever. This is all fine, you live your life. And then I forget to ask myself the question,
Hmm.
okay, but what am I feeling here about this situation? What is it that I need right now? What is it that I want right now?
Hmm.
And I kind of forget to tune in with myself. I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one who struggles with that, especially if you've had a history of, well, with quite some challenges, and
Hmm.
you've learned to just ground yourself, but we forget to check in, and that we are allowed that space as well. So could you please enlighten us? What would you recommend that we do?
Get a coach.
Yes, yes,
I
yes,
mean, you just said it. We as coaches are perfect. We facilitate, and we are
yes.
space holders. I had this conversation yesterday with another coach as well, and I was struggling with something, and we just talked for like a few minutes, and she said something. I have to be honest. The first thing that ran through my mind was I could have thought of that one myself.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're in your own bullshit, you cannot get out of it. Well, you can get out of it, but so that is something that I say to everybody. If you want to make progress, if you want to help yourself develop, go get a coach, and especially for coaches. I mean, there's nobody, and then that coach will have a coach, and that coach will have a coach. It's if you can't see it for yourself, you can't see it for yourself. And if you're willing to show up and grow, it's amazing to have someone to do what you do for others every day.
To call you out on your bullshit.
Oh yes, or to lovingly hold you and say, okay, love, you just go cry because it doesn't matter. Everything is well. Okay, now what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what I'm noticing is that for some reason we have over glorified that idea of, yeah, I can hold myself, I can be stable, you know, I can center myself, and I can, as if it's always a good thing that we can hold space for everyone.
Yeah.
Whereas we forget, it's like we're, yeah, like I said, over glorifying that and thinking that, you know, I'm so stable, I'm strong, I can handle it all. But that's actually, it's not a strength necessarily. I mean, we're basically denying ourselves. So to actually, I completely agree that if you really want to be a good coach, you stop the whole bullshit of always being strong. You get into your vulnerability and you ask for help. That's it.
Yeah, but then it's the same blocks that block us from feeling love or allowing money or wherever, blocks us of being your authentic self, just whatever needs you have, because you have this belief of, if people know that I also have a coach, they think I'm no good, or I'm not allowed to ask help if I proclaim to help people. It's all again about those beliefs. And I will promise you, life is so much easier and feels so much better if you allow everything just to be. But that's the hard part. If you allow everything just to be, the good, the bad, the ugly, the smelly, the whatever, it's so it's so much effort to keep up with to keep up appearances. It's so much effort to put on that mask of whatever thing or whatever role you think you have to play in the world. And alignment is not having to put on a mask, but be all open and willing to whatever wants to come through at that moment. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and sometimes it's ugly. But we are not the judge of that. We just let it run through. And it's so much less stress and so much more happiness.
This is interesting. So this is what it's also bringing up for me, because I also talk about how, for example, if we want to serve our clients, you know, we need to show up in a certain way. I also believe that we can make a choice to show up in that moment. You know, for example, if I'm a little bit tired at some point and I know that I have to coach a client, then I will consciously put myself in the right state. I will do what I need to do to change the energy within my body. I will use my body as a tool. Now, I'm not saying that everything is just that we can just fix everything, because it's also about trusting and listening to your body when you need to. But I always talk about how we can choose to show up in that moment when our clients, for example, need us to. I mean, if you're just in this lethargic mood, then you're not serving your client. How would you deal with that? Let's say that I'm at some point I'm feeling shit and I still want to serve. Should I just listen to what the mood is telling me, or should I consciously make a choice?
Well, actually, there's a secret option number 3. What I would do is check in. What's happening here? Is it aligned for me to even though I have a client call, to cancel that call because this is what my body needs, or what's happening here, if I'm honest, am I in some sort of resistance?
Exactly.
Because that happens too. And for me, that helps me a lot because let's say, no, I can't, I wanted to put a percentage on it. I can't. Sometimes it's resistance. And then I make the choice, because I make the choice. I want to show up in the best way possible, first and foremost for me, and then for my clients. And if I know it's some kind of resistance, I know, come on, this is bullshit. And then I make the choice you're talking about and go in whatever state and do what I wanted to do. However, if I check and I see there's no resistance, there's actually, I don't know, whatever reason that it's not aligned to continue with that call, I'll cancel.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's also taking responsibility for the well-being of your clients.
There you go.
Or whatever.
And a great example you set, because you show that, I mean, the earth is not does not stop spinning. Nobody died if you, for example, go back on your word, if that's maybe a thing for you. So you set a beautiful example about how you can live in flow, in respect with yourself and in respect of others.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's the wisdom of knowing the difference between, I'm just resisting, or I'm actually, this is what I need at the moment.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, for me, a lot of the time I feel there's resistance. So there's something to be learned. And sometimes there's actually not aligned at this moment for whatever reason. And I don't judge that anymore. And I just act on it.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, there's men and women listening, but something that I feel like people are talking about more and more, at least in my circles, is the fact that as women, especially female entrepreneurs, we have a cycle. And that influences our ability to show up or be in a certain state, for example. And it's important to also acknowledge that part and, align with the cycle.
Yeah, there's a lot of colleagues of mine who actually really either track their cycle, or the cycle and the moon phases are connected to each other. So they do things with the moon phases. I have to be honest, I just check in with myself. How do I feel? And I do the 2 check, like, is it in alignment or is it resistance? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I do have to say that, it can be very different for me as well. Sometimes towards the end of my cycle, I will be a lot more fatigued, and I need to just go inward and be kind to myself. But just recently, my last cycle, I just started my new cycle, but the last one, I was so energized. There was absolutely no need for me to go inward or to cancel anything.
There you go.
Exactly. And to listen to that, what is present in this very moment, right?
Yeah. That is amazing. It's scary if you haven't done it before, because your mind is giving you all these reasons not to do that, to follow flow. But as soon,
we need to push. We need to push.
Yeah. I need to push, and what if, and but as soon as so the first times you do that, it's scary because you don't have the experience yet. But it's like paddling upstream, and then finally deciding, what the fuck? You put the oars inside the boat, and then you just let go, and it goes whoosh. And you find out that wherever the boat landed was exactly the place you thought you were paddling up to. But you have to have the few experiences of letting go and getting yourself, feeling yourself picked up and go with the flow. And as soon as you allow yourself to even feel that once, you can go back to that easier because you have the experience.
Yeah, you're teaching your body that it is with just this one
and time, especially this motherfucker here, your mind.
Exactly, your mind, the whole nervous system
Yeah,
and
you're
your
giving it
wiring.
proof.
Yeah,
It's safe.
it's
Yeah.
safe, exactly. And I do think that we've all had that experience once, at least once, even if it's just a tiny thing. We have already learned that when we let go, when we fully surrender, things will be okay.
Yeah.
So just that one lesson has already taught us, yes, we can surrender, and to then expand
Yeah.
that lesson and really get that
And that is a
neurological
practice.
pathway.
And that
Yeah,
is a
it's a
practice,
practice.
because if you have held on for 45 years in your life and you let go once, then still the holding on has so much
Yeah,
more power in your system. So it's a practice.
you need to do it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you would have one message to share with the people that are listening right now, just this one thing, what would it be? Just to
Um, well, I would really want to share what I think is the easiest way and the shortest way and the least effort way to get out ahead of your day, at least a little bit. And that is experiment with setting the intention for the day, how you want to feel. So just that one question. And I have like clients of mine having post-its with their toothbrush to remind them as soon as in the morning they brush their teeth. How do I want to feel today? And then you just answer it in your mind or in your journal if you want, but in your mind, it even takes less time and effort. How do I want to feel today? Today, I feel confident and happy. And today, I am loving with my kids and I'm carving out time, especially to spend with them. Or if you know you have like something really exciting going on or business wise, today I feel super successful and confident. That those few seconds at the beginning of your day can make the world of a difference. So that is something that I really want to offer.
Juicy.
I like it.
Very, very powerful.
Mm.
Yeah, we've been talking for nearly an hour, so I
Oh my
know that's
God.
not here. Yes, time flies. It honestly does. And it's been incredibly valuable to have you here, to learn, to listen, to receive so many gifts that you have to share, Divera. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, my whole being, for taking the time to share your wisdom here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely up for this again in the future.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many more topics we could get into. No doubt about it.
Definitely. No doubt about it. So thank you, and thank you all for listening. I hope that you had a blast, and I'm looking forward to inspiring you in the next episode. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're hungry for more, please check out my Brand Rebel app in the App Store or the Play Store. Just simply type in Be a Brand Rebel and you will find it instantly. It's free and it's fun. For now, have a magical day. Stay raw, stay real, and stay rebelicious.